Welcome to episode 4 of the Foyne Jones Show. Today I've got Jason Key from the wonderful Kalo in the studio. He's going to share his story and help me give some inspiration to our stars of the future. I'm never, ever going to get tired of listening to our intro music, Charlie. You've done that so well. We are back in the studio. It's an exciting day. We're in Sussex by the sea. Our guest has brought the worst weather with him. It's dark, it's wet, it's miserable, and the football didn't go too well for him last night. But this is episode 4, and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are on season 6 of the Foyne Jones Show. This episode, this series and this episode is all about what he says up there. It's about inspiring our stars of the future. And that's for all the industries our podcast touches. Today's guest is going to talk about the KBB industry. He's ripping it up at the moment. I've told you that publicly. I see that in terms of what he's doing. But he's working for an exciting brand, an exciting product, and he's got an inspirational story to tell because it's not always been good times. And hopefully he's going to share that with us, Charlie. Jason Key, welcome to the show.
Hello.
You doing all right, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, good to be here.
We had a lovely warm-up session before you came down, Charlie. We got it all out of our system. But today we will be talking about Jason's story. We're going to focus on what happened during lockdown and comparing that to where he is now. There will be the traditional element of every Foyne Jones Show episode. The podcast is not the podcast without some football banter, and I've called that. Sorry, I know you want me to change the first 2 words, Jace, but I've called it "Glory, Glory, Tottenham Hotspur."
Not so much.
We've got to start somewhere, which is always difficult with producer Charlie being a lifelong Arsenal fan. So how he's going to edit this, what it's going to come out like, we don't know. We're going to end with giving our listeners and the next generation some advice. But let's start by getting to know you, mate. Tell the listeners who you are and what you do. I'm sure they'll know. But over to you, pal.
Jason, I currently work for Kalo, which I'm hoping everyone knows about by now. I've been hard at work trying to make that the case. Not always been easy. I think typical sales guys can kind of bounce around from job to job and industry to industry, and I kind of finally found what I wanted. Yeah. After, like you say, a very difficult, COVID time and bad luck.
We'll come on to that, mate, because I know you've been really open, and you know, I'm a mental health ambassador, especially with fellas, and I'm proud of the work we've done. But you've shared your story, you've helped others, and I do want to come back to that. But for the uneducated, right, for those that have been, just kind of had their eyes closed and their ears closed, and they've not been checking out what's going on, how would you describe Kalo to someone who just arrived on this planet, mate?
Kalo is,
because it's a sexy product, but I want to give you the floor.
The way I kind of describe it, it's one of the very few unique items that is a must-have now, and I think everyone does kind of describe it as a must-have in the kitchen showroom, in the kitchen, around the home. It's versatile, can go in any room, but it's just different. It's got something unique. I did actually a post yesterday and said, like, why would you consider Kalo? There's hundreds of doors, there's hundreds of hobs, there's hundreds of ovens, there's hundreds of handles, worktops. There's only one of us. We've got no competitors. It's unique. It's wow factor. It's a great talking point, and it does exactly what it says in the tin. It keeps your drinks at the perfect temperature. So
and it looks good.
Yeah, it's aesthetically beautiful. It looks good. It's attractive. It gets eyeballs talking.
One thing I've always been intrigued with, and you hopefully be able to answer this. Where's the name from?
So, Kevin, our founder, initially it was called Kaizen.
Okay.
Which was a Japanese word. I must get it right, otherwise I get told off. It's a Japanese word.
No pressure, Kev, right? Do you know what I mean? No pressure, Jace.
Japanese word for continuous development. So very much like the crown. Yeah. Circular, continuous movement. So, and then obviously with the lighting system on the top, it was very much looked like a halo. Yeah. And I think Kaizen and Halo, it kind of conjoined as Kalo. And that's now what's on the tip of everyone's tongue now. And what
it works though, mate. It's the brand synonymous with what it does. And I don't know any competitors out there that are doing anything like it. So it stands alone. Yeah. It gives people an option. And you're very much a big part of the journey, mate, and a big part of that business, aren't you?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. It just was the right product, the right company, the right people at the right time. And it all just, the stars aligned for me. which we'll talk about. But
we will.
I wanted something that was very much like the Kuka story.
Yeah.
Something that was unique, standalone, easy to retrofit, easy to plan into your displays. Didn't need an abundance of wall space or changing whole displays. I wanted something that was just simple. I could walk in there, be different, have a different product, and it was not an easy sell, but something that didn't need a lot of time to think about, do I want it or not? And that's kind of what I've done with it. And it's proven. We've got hundreds of dealers now, sort of pushing sort of 450 now, and it's proved not a gamble for clients to take on. It's not a big decision. It's something, like I say, unique, different, and they can just apply it in the showroom quite easily.
Fantastic, and I think that ease of installation is a real big factor. We had the Kuka installed in my place earlier this week, and like the geezer, he was a fantastic lad, but he was in and out quickly, and I think that element is what people want. But we all want that luxury product. Yeah. We all want the must-have. We all want something which is that little bit more desirable. What excites me the most about what you're doing, and I guess that's why we will talk about it. That's why you've been nominated for an awards, mate.
Yeah.
Is that as an ambassador, as a sales manager, as a sales rep, you're doing things, and this is, and I knew you before, so it's even more powerful when I see it. But you're doing things which other people listening to this show are not doing. There are people that are struggling to get appointments. There are people struggling to get their products into displays, into showrooms. They're struggling to even have conversations. Yeah. You've, to use an expression we use in our business every day, you've ripped the rule book up because you do it all very differently, mate, don't you? Is that just from how you are as a person? Is it like the Essex boy mentality, and I'm going to get out and get it done? Because I'm going to, when we talk about inspiring others, I'm going to share when we first started talking a fair few years ago, and what you said to me. I still remember it, but talk me through your approach, because it is different, mate, isn't it?
I think in sales, my personality has always been a big part of what I do. From selling advertising in Designer magazine back in the day to working on Designer Awards, I've always been successful in sales because I think my personality, and I've always tried to be different to everybody else. I don't want to be a sheep. I don't want to be just like that person. I always want to be different. And I think the best example of that is when I applied for the job with Kalo, I assumed, without knowing the business, there's going to be hundreds of applicants. How do I make sure that my CV is top of that pile? I pre-sold 3 displays before I joined the company, or even had the interview, and presented that in my second interview with the MD, Dave, and said, look, I've already sold 3. And I thought, no one's ever going to do that. Yeah. And I think that's my mentality.
That can't have hurt the process, mate, can it? Do you know what I mean? I've identified potential customers. Yeah. I've spoke to them about your products. Oh, and by the way, they're up for it. So, can we go to work?
And I think that's what I always do. Yeah. I try and just think outside the box, like you say, rip the rule book up and just do something different.
That's why I wanted to get you on, though, because I preach this in the redundancy support and the employability sessions I do, the career sessions. It's about if 95% of people are going to do just enough, or the obvious bit. Yeah. If you do something different and you put that little bit more in, you put a shift in, you think about how you can stand out, you'd be in danger of getting noticed, and you've done that. Yeah. And that leads you, I guess, to where you are now, celebrating the success you're having. Every time, Charlie, I go onto LinkedIn, this fella's like at it. He's been to this showroom, that showroom, displays in, feedback here. But there's positive content, and I think, taking that analogy a little bit further, all the influencers on LinkedIn will tell you 99% of people on LinkedIn don't put content out. They just absorb content or they browse through. Mate, you've got like this audience just sitting there waiting for a bit of you to put stuff out. Yeah. So that is probably more a factor in the modern sales representative, the modern sales manager, the modern business developer than ever before. Yeah. So do you build that into every call? Do you have that on your radar every day?
Yeah, I mean, even when I'm, if I go and see a client, and whether it's training on the Kalo or I want to make them feel special. Well, they've taken a lot of trust in us as a brand, in me, to have Kalo there. They've given us money for a display. I want to make sure that they feel special and looked after. And if I can help push their showroom on my network, on my Instagram, on my LinkedIn, if I can help big them up, if I can help share their designs, or whenever they tag Kalo, I share it. For me, it's the basics. Yeah. But that's how I know how to sell. It's not just getting the deal. It's that ongoing support. And I think that's why people then consistently want to spec Kalo into designs, because I've helped them, they help me, and for me,
Yeah.
that's just how it works.
It's fantastic. And again, there's so much inspiration there to people that perhaps want to go out onto the road for the first time, or they want to get
Yeah.
into the industry. You've got to look at what you can offer.
Yeah.
And, you know, we haven't spoke about the technical qualities of the product. We ain't spoke about the price of the product. We haven't spoke about anything other than it looks really
Yeah.
sexy.
Mhm.
I'd quite like one. Charlie would quite like one. We all want
Yeah.
one because it's something that's desirable.
Yeah.
So then, what you're actually telling me you're doing there is you're getting to know the business owner.
Yeah.
You're getting to know the key people in the showroom,
Yeah.
and they're trusting you.
Yeah.
They want to talk to you. You know, the story you told me about when you was in with someone and a couple of other reps come in and they got like jogged on, and
Yeah.
you're there like having a coffee and a chat and a laugh. That'd be no different to how we were downstairs.
Yeah.
You know, laughing about life, laughing about my family, your family. We bumped into Harry down there. You know, he couldn't make it up. Like, my oldest son just pops
Yeah.
along. Hello, Dad. I'm like, hello, this is Jason. And he knew who you were.
Yeah.
He said, oh, I've seen you
Yeah.
on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, that's like... He said something funny as well. We were talking about, like, some other stuff. I was saying saying something funny, Charlie. We were talking about the new coffee machine. He was going, yeah, but Dad, you know, we're not allowed to use it, are we? Like, Mum don't let us use it. And he was saying, that's the same as in my house, mate. We don't go
Yeah.
near those things. So, your story, Jace, let's make it real, because I think we've got to make it real.
Yeah.
You're riding on the crest of a wave now.
Yeah.
You have been nominated for awards, and I think, mate, you know, you get my vote, genuinely.
Appreciate it.
It's why you're on the show, pal. But it's not always been good times for you, mate. You went through you went through a tough journey, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember our first conversation. This was pre-pandemic, I think it was, and you're like, look, you know, love what you're doing. I see you doing this. I want to get back into this industry, but I want to work for a manufacturer. I want to, you know,
Yeah.
I want to sell to the people I've sold to before. I've got the contacts, people like me. I just need someone to give me an opportunity. And I thought, not many people pick the phone up to me and talk that passionately, but with that much personality about what they can do and how they do it and wanting to get a chance. That kind of happened for you, mate.
Yeah.
And then, and I know you've shared this, but it was all ripped away a couple of times. So can we just, to finish off this half of the show,
Yeah.
really focus on your story, Jason, and those challenges you've overcome, and be as open and as honest as you want to be. There's
100%.
no pressure, mate, all right?
Yeah, no, look, it's been documented. I wasn't scared to talk about it then,
Yeah.
and it's certainly not the case now. But I've always backed myself, and I found myself in a bit of a hole. I wanted to get away from the magazine side of things, and I wanted to kind of get back in the industry, but on the other side of the desk, really, sort of working with manufacturers, and whether it was an appliance brand or furniture, I wanted to get into that side of things, which I did, which I got offered a good opportunity. No one knew that COVID was around the corner.
No.
No one had a clue what it was. I remember being working for a furniture brand. I'm at KBB. And we were literally screwing the sanitizer station.
It
on the
started to
wall.
become real, like KBB,
Yeah.
didn't it? Like up until that point, like January and like into February that year, it was kind of, it's on the cruise ship,
Yeah.
and there's people walking around the cruise ship, and like, oh, there's been a case here, there's been a case
Yeah.
there. And then all of a sudden, like the world started to really change dramatically,
Yeah.
and for our industry, that year's show was when it all changed,
Yeah.
wasn't it? It all
Yeah.
changed, mate.
Yeah, it was that. I remember the morning of the show, it was literally the only stand that I knew or was near us that was screwing a sanitizer station onto the stand. I think partly that was why our stand was so busy.
Yeah.
Because people were so terrified about the news, they were coming on the stand, washing their hands, and stopping on the stand. So we had a great show, and obviously we all know what happened after that. COVID hit. We all got told to stay at home. I was then furloughed pretty much from the show to June, and unfortunately, I got took on within that company to grow things by 30%, and obviously with what happened, we were the other way. So unfortunately, that was short-lived, and I was gutted, jobless again, redundant,
It's hard to explain how you feel at that point,
Oh,
though, mate. Like
low.
I know from like my wife, my oldest son, close people in my family went through that,
Yeah.
and I spoke to so many people who faced similar situations, and we tried our best to help as many people as we can. I'm proud of what we did, but no one can explain unless you're dealing with it how that suddenly makes you feel,
Yeah.
because it's just taken away from you. It's not your fault. It ain't poor attendance. It's not underperformance. It's not gross misconduct, dare I say. It's like, it's circumstances beyond anyone's control in the world. So you had to pick yourself up again, mate, didn't you? 'Cause it was tough.
And I couldn't even be, I remember the phone call, and it was like, don't want this to happen, but unfortunately, like you say, it's out of our control. So I couldn't even be really angry with the situation. It was just very, very disheartening. And I kind of remember putting the phone down and just looking at my partner at the time and going, that's that done then. Where do we go now? And I had to, brush myself down, as you do, CV rewritten, update it, get it out to all you guys and all the recruiters, and just try and create a buzz. And I just thought, I've seen a lot of people that lose their job, and I think they can turn very negative and very sour towards industry, towards recruiters, and not actually look at, even when it is their fault, they've lost their job, it's someone else's fault. And I knew it wasn't my fault, but I thought, how do I need to appeal to employers and recruiters as not a gamble. So I thought, I can sit here feeling sorry for myself, or I can just get on with it, put food on the table, get bills paid, and just support my daughter, support my partner, and just try and move on. So I was wanting the right job, because I didn't want this situation to happen again.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be just going, and I did have job offers, but they weren't right. Whether the money or the product or the business or geographically, I thought, I don't want to be in that position in 3 months' time and then starting again. And it's a conveyor belt of just every 3 months trying to find the right job, and you bounce around. So I just thought, what can I do? And it was building sites. It was mates who've got construction companies that needed help, £125 a day rate. And I think it actually helped me get out of the bubble to reevaluate what I want.
Yeah.
Who I want to work for, and until that opportunity arises, I'll just do this. And it was DPD deliveries. It was.
I remember, mate. I remember
so
saying,
much.
like, I'm knackered. I've been grafting on site. I'm now out doing deliveries.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I will swear, I'm not effing giving up.
I'm
Do you know what I
grafting,
mean?
just to show people.
You were having it.
Yeah, I just wanted to show you. And I thought, if I'm a recruiter and I've got a guy that's out of work and made redundant, what do I want to see?
Yeah.
I want to see someone that's hardworking, that's grafting, committed. Because if they can turn up for deliveries and they can turn up for a building site, they can then turn up for work.
Yeah.
And if he's passionate about that, he's going to be passionate about what he's truly passionate about. So I did document it on LinkedIn.
I loved it.
I'm on a building site. I was joking, saying, I can add bricklayer to my business card, and I can add this to my business card. Just have a little bit, play on it. But I thought, I want to get my personality across, show I'm a grafter, and just have people go, this guy's, he's got it.
Mate, but it's amazing what you can do. I mean, like, I didn't go through it in any way like that, but until the word furlough and the word bounce back loans came into my world, I was terrified. I own, like you talk about going to lockdown, I own a business that makes money through people meeting each other. It was a dark passage of play, mate, to own a recruitment business. So I had to look at different income streams, and my podcast exploded during lockdown. Mate, this man sitting here because of what happened, Charlie, during lockdown. I launched a digital storytelling and kind of virtual tour business, Jones Digital, and that's still going today. And it's enabling us to bring our clients to life and record podcasts and work with this talented videographer. But that came from actually, well, I've got to make something happen, because like it or not, I'm not going to be recruiting for a while, right? So I've got to keep going. I've got to reinvent myself. But you did that from a position of need. You did it from a position of you having your little girl, having your family. But you actually took control of your own destiny, and I think it was an example for others, and I know you kind of, we won't go into too much detail, but you also gave advice to others and saying, look, you're asking me how I got back on the ride, or you're asking me what I'm doing. You're too negative. You're showcasing yourself as someone who's got the world, like the chip on their shoulder, or the world owes them a favour. Hiring manager, Mr. CEO, Mr. Founder, they're not necessarily going to get excited about that, are they? And you was giving advice to others, mate, as well, weren't you?
100%. Yeah, I got approached a few times, and I reached out to a few people that I saw, and just wanted to kind of just make them snap out of that negativity and just sort of say, look, this is not how you're going to get back on track. This is what I did. Granted, a couple listened, a couple didn't. I can only do what I can do. I can only say what I can say. If they don't want to take it on board, I'd rather help people that want the help.
That's my world, though. You when you're trying to support people, and I say this all the time, our role as a recruitment business, and we're a specialist recruitment provider. We do things the right way, but it's not to find a job for a person. No. That's not how we function. We function finding a person for a job. So it's that side that the employer comes to us with a requirement, a must-haves, a brief, an area of expertise. Sometimes it's a passion, a personality, a cultural fit. Our job's to find those people for them. 100%. So when people are registering, and we've had these conversations, mate, so it. Most of what I do early doors is manage expectation. We may not be able to find you the dream job. We may not be able to find you any job. But if you work with us, I tell you what, you spend 5 minutes talking to me, you'll be more employable than you were at the start of that conversation. If I give you 3 pieces of advice, like you were doing to your mates, and you follow them, they're going to help you because I'm giving you skills to go and help yourself. And that level of inspiration, Jason, is why your story is so powerful. Because when was it you joined Kalo and it all changed, mate? So when did you go, mate, from being a brickie, a DPD driver, I don't know, a vlogger on LinkedIn, because you was all that. When did that change? When did the Kalo moment happen?
Well, it was another. Then obviously, I got another job, and then that unfortunately went away as well. That lost.
So a double bang.
So a double bang. Yeah. That wasn't more redundancy. That was more just they just weren't using me for what I was good at. You know, I was kind of, because it was COVID times. It was very much I was stuck in my bedroom on a computer, sifting through dead leads.
I see you a bit like a caged animal there, mate.
That's not what I'm about.
I see you like caged, prowling.
And you kind of get let go because it's not worked out. And it's like, well, it's not worked out because you've not let me do anything. So I went back on the building site, back to DVD for the second time. Like, kind of come and do.
At least they re-hired you, mate.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean?
I was good at my job. I was for not a guy that's not got qualifications building. They sent me back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But again, there was no negativity. It was straight back to that, and let's go again. And I think all that consistency that I had, talking about the building sites and DPD, I knew it was going to get noticed at some point. And then obviously I think KB Review did Save Our Skills.
Yeah.
Andrew put me on the website, got me on there, and this is kind of where the stars started aligning. And Stephen Johnson at KUKA every week would share 4 or 5 different profiles on his page. He shared me. Neil, my sales director, who you know well, saw my profile, was in the southeast, picked up the phone, spoke to me, and it was that unique product that I wanted to work with. It was in my head, it was what I wanted. And I remember ringing my dad up and saying, I've been approached by this job, what do you think? I sent him the link and he rang me up and he went, that's got your name all over it.
Yeah.
This is a bit of you.
But that's how I see, you know, that's how I see what you're doing at the moment. It just really works.
Yeah.
But how good is that? You talk about how the industry comes together there. You know, I work with Stephen on redundancy support and, you know, really, I was job club, keeping people positive. You know, other leaders as well. I'm a saddler, so I work with David Walcott on Saddle Up, and you know, there's 2 individuals there that really made a difference. Sponsor of this show, big shout out to MHK Holding UK, Marcel. You know, he was really supportive of what I was doing. So was Stephen, and with that support, we've carried on a brilliant relationship where we keep our podcast going. We showcase MHK, we showcase Marcel, but they gave a lot to the industry to try and protect it, because what was happening there, we were in danger of losing some really good people forever. And that I think is where I love the story, Jason, because you're open, you're talking about what's gone well, you're talking about what you wanted to achieve. Hadn't worked out. You went down once, you got yourself back in. You went down again, mate. You've been put down twice, so 3 times, you know, TKO. You've got yourself back in, and you're doing something fantastic, mate. That is such a good first half of this episode.
Great.
Thank you as well for being so honest and open, because that I think is a massive inspiration. That's going to hit all the listeners, mate.
Hope so.
Top
Hope it
man.
helps someone.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, are you ready? The digital revolution is no longer a spectator sport. It's game on. The magical art of storytelling is the future. Social, content, branding, podcasts, video marketing, and virtual 360 tours. This is Jones Digital.
Okay, welcome back to the podcast. Episode 4, I'm joined from Jason Key. He's told us the Kalo story. He's told us his story, and it's a real example of battling back through adversary during what was one of the most challenging passages of play our industry, the economy, the country and the world's ever seen. But this section, Jason, it's called Glory, glory Tottenham Hotspur.
What's that?
Which perhaps isn't well timed. So I'm going to get you in a good mood, mate. Look at that camera there and say hello to Grace.
Hi, Grace.
All right, Grace. Daddy's on the podcast. Daddy's not in a good mood because Tottenham got turned over.
No.
Let's talk about what Grace is doing, because women's football exploded in the summer. You know, I probably cheered on the Lionesses in their tournament more than I did the men's team out in Qatar. In fact, I know I did, mate.
Yeah.
But then, you know, we see, and this is where LinkedIn's so powerful and social so powerful. I don't know you, little girl.
Yeah.
You know, we've not met in person before today. We spoke loads of times, but I feel I know she plays football and I know she's doing well. Tell everyone what she's up to, mate. So I think it's a great story for women's girls football.
So she didn't start playing football till she was 9 years old. And at 14, which she's in a couple of weeks, on the 21st of March, she finds herself playing really, really high up at football. She's just took to it like a duck to water. She was in the garden, I remember when she was 9 years old, and she did a little bit of singing, she did a bit of dancing, she won this, won that. She wouldn't stick to anything. And I was like, these hobbies just keep coming and going, coming and going.
I don't want to do another pony show. I don't want to go ballet again.
Horse riding, too expensive. Let's get away from that. And she was in the garden, and I saw her just kicking a ball. And she went to me, I'm going to hit the crossbar 3 times in a row. And she did it. And I was like, I can't do that.
Did you try?
No. and she did it, and I was like,
you like a centre half, mate. You like you kicked in head things, mate.
I was a centre half. Probably scored more own goals than normal goals.
You could put it right over the crossbar into the neighbour's garden.
Rose said, as they said, that was my best tactic. And I just thought, I said to her, do you like football? Yeah. I mean, she's a Spurs fan like I am.
Yeah.
Like, we love it. I wasn't going to let her go down your route.
For the benefits of people listening on audio, that was pointed straight towards the other part of North London, Charlie Hula, Charlie Gooner Hula.
And I took her to her first little training session, like a little kids' fun session, and she just had something. And the coach said to me, she's got good natural ability. And I was like, well, how long has she been playing for? I went, 2 weeks. And they were expecting me to say since she was 4 or 5. And then roll on 4 or 5 years, she plays locally on a Sunday. For Colchester City, which is a local team, but she plays a year up, so she's playing with 15-year-olds at 14.
Go on, Grace.
And she's also...
What position is she, mate?
She's a striker.
Oh, yeah, centre forward, there we go.
She's pacey, she's a whippet. She's a bit like Rashford, really, really fast, calm head, good finishing. Really popular with all the teams. She's a good personality. Very much hope she gets that from me. And she used to have Colchester United, and now she's at Ipswich Town.
Fair play,
so
mate.
yeah, she's played West Ham, Watford,
fair play,
Stevenage, Brighton. We played in the tournament, Norwich City, and she's just.
It's great that women's football. Like, I was flicking through Sky, and I'm like, how can Brighton and Chelsea be playing tonight? Because like Chelsea have just beat Thingy in the Europe. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's women's football. Yeah. And like, I'll be honest, it was more interesting in your game last night. You know, the women's football. But it's just great to see it. Like even Fulham on a much smaller scale. You know, they've played a couple of women, or certainly played one women's game back at Craven Cottage again now, and they're quite down in the leagues. But I've worked not that closely, but I've sponsored Lewes Football Club before. I sponsored Michael, a friend of our family's, when he was playing for Lewes full time, and you know, seeing the work they do with women's football and men's football, I think it's such an untapped market which we saw the potential of with what the Lionesses done, mate. You must be buzzing for Grace. Grace, I wish you all the luck for the season. I'm going to ask your old man to keep me updated. Do you want to talk about Spurs or not?
What do we talk about?
Well, it's up to you, mate.
It's not positive, I'll tell you that. If you want a positive spin on this podcast, Tottenham's not the way to go. But look, football's a football. All these, every club gets up times, down times. You know, I mean, look, your lot 2 seasons ago wanted him out, and you were, we picked you to 4th. Yeah. Now look, roll on a year and it's all changed again.
When we recorded season 5, Fulham were a championship team, mate. We've got out of that league. We've lost to Tottenham twice. We've lost to Arsenal once. We play Arsenal this weekend. Those results will be known by the time this episode goes out. But I look at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. I think Chaz and Dave, right? I think Glenn Hoddle, one of the greatest players to ever grace this planet, this earth. I think of the team with Lineker and Gaza, and and then you look at the modern Tottenham, and there's always the Levy factor. There's the change of the White Hart Lane Stadium to the new ground. Yeah. I know the ground's like Disneyland, right? I know it's like Disneyland. It's an amazing experience. If it's up for it, I imagine the atmosphere's frightening. But yeah, I didn't feel it last night, mate, and that was a must-win game. I didn't feel it last night.
Not just last night. I mean, me and my daughter have been to probably 7, 8, 9 games this season, and it's just flat.
Yeah,
we never start from the
if
first
you want
whistle.
to take something positive away, you beat Fulham home and away. You know what I mean? Like, so that's something.
We sound like West Ham fans now. Well, we beat Spurs twice.
Yeah, not many teams have done that to us this year. We're kind of punching well above our weight. But
no, you do
but from your perspective, what would you see? Ownership change, management change? What was?
I think the problem with Tottenham is there's a massive disconnect.
Yeah.
Between everything really. There's a big disconnect between the fans. There's a big disconnect between them and the owner. I don't feel Conte's the right man for the job. And I was talking to you about Arsenal. I think Arteta was under pressure, but he had a clear philosophy and a clear plan that the board were backing. And it was just a process of getting from here to there. And you've got there. And now, look, you're top of the league and you're smashing it. The thing with Tottenham is Tottenham's always been based on, like you say, flair. You know, Hoddle, you know, Klinsmann, Ginolas, all these guys that I loved watching as a kid, Teddy Sheringham's, like all these players. We've now got a manager in who, you know, when we had Pochettino, it was that flair football.
That was the moment when
we might have lost 3-2, but we'd always go out fighting, or we'd smash teams and we'd obliterate them. Pochettino at the time should have got backed when we got to the Champions League final. He said, you know, we've got a fantastic stadium, and his analogy was we've got IKEA furniture. Basically a rebuild needed. Started the season, didn't spend a penny, got the sack. If they'd have just backed him, we could have probably had an Alex Ferguson on our hands for 10, 15, 20 years.
I think he's a quality act, mate. And that season you're talking about, I know we were talking about downstairs, Charlie, before you popped down, but I still don't understand. No, Marcel's going to hate me saying this because he's such a big Ajax fan. But like, how did you beat Ajax in that game?
No idea.
Like, they were just so good, but you won.
Yeah.
And I think it's moments like that in football that you hold on to. Right now, I think, the club's big enough.
Yeah.
They will need changes. They'll need leadership changes without a doubt. They'll need players in and out, and it's where they go with it.
Yeah.
The fella who's doing so well up at Newcastle, mate, Eddie Howe, I could have seen him fitting really well in at your club. I could see him fitting in at Fulham, but I think he's proved himself bigger than that now. I don't know whether you get someone like that out. I don't know whether you get Poch back, but I don't even know whether Conte could turn it all round. Maybe I don't know.
I mean,
but
the interviews I saw last night he's gone.
Was it?
There's no interest to stay.
You mentioned something as well, mate, and I'll finish it off on this section. But yeah, you know, when you talk about like the fans and the disconnect, when we played at the Cottage on a Monday night, just last month, and we bossed it, Fulham. Like, we really should have scored 2 or 3, but we didn't. Okay, but during that time when we had all the possession, you know, the fans were like very anti, like they were Levy out. They were kind of really loud on it. Yeah. Kane scored a wonder goal, which was the only shot you had. Like, Kane scored a wonder goal. That was it. That was the game over. But it never really transferred the away end to be like really, really like they used to be. Like, I used to hate it when Tottenham come to the Cottage because it was like, oh, here we go. I win the Spurs really slow. Like, you know, this is all we're going to hear all through the game. You know? It just weren't that kind of away support. And you nicked a 1-0 win, so it was different. But I think, look, mate, you've overcome loads of your professional career. Yeah. Football is not meant to be. It's the hope that kills you. I'm a Fulham fan, so I'm happy to be above fourth bottom, and I think we're safe. So let's hope Tottenham turns good. But more importantly, let's hope Grace keeps knocking the goals in. Yeah. And if you don't start enjoying yourself at the Lane, you've got Sunday and Saturday football with your little girl, mate, haven't you? Yeah,
and my partner as well. I've said hello to Sean Cameron. Sean Cameron, he's an Arsenal fan as well. So even at home, I've got an Arsenal fan in the house.
Mate, I married into a family of Chelsea fans. Yeah. Right. So my wife, we're both from Fulham, but I'm from a Fulham family. She's from a Chelsea family in Fulham. Both teams play in Fulham, but that era, like our old man and father-in-law, you kind of supported both because we never, like, you know, it was kind of the dump. Like, you sort of went to both. I went to Chelsea as a kid, but I was always a Fulham fan, and that's my team. So, but I know what it's like, mate. I do know what it's like. At the moment, up until recently, I'm sending my brother-in-law texts all the time. You seen the league table? Do you know, I'll take my nephew to the game again because he really don't want to watch you lot lose. They've started to come good again. But Jace, look. Glory, Tottenham Hotspur. I wish you all the best. You'll come again. Good luck this season, Grace. And to all the family, mate. All right?
Cheers, thank you.
So, every episode, we wrap the show up by asking them, Jace, to give 3 words of advice. You've given a really inspirational story. You've got everyone excited about a brand, Kado, which I think everyone's excited about anyway. Yeah. But if you were talking to your younger self, you were talking to people back in the day or just now in the here and now, and I asked you to encapsulate 3 words of advice to inspire our stars of the future, what would you say, mate?
I think for me, going through my journey, I think having a plan. I think knowing who you are, what you want to do, where you want to do it, having a plan is going to massively stop you making the wrong turns, give you a focus. Be different. My biggest thing, be different. Don't be the same as every other person. Find a bit of uniqueness about yourself and be confident enough to run with it. And with all that, be consistent. Just keep doing what you're doing, like I've done with Kalo. You know, I remember the first I walked into a Kalo showroom and I said, "Oh, I'm from Kalo." Who? What? What's Kalo? Rolled on 2 years.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who Kalo is.
Yeah.
And that's just that consistency through everything. So yeah, I think that's the three things I'd say. Plan.
Three powerful bits of advice.
Yeah.
You know, I'll summarise. You know, plan. You have a plan. Know who you are and have a plan that reflects who you are. Do something different, which is going to stand you out in an overcrowded market of school leavers, college leavers, uni leavers, job seekers. You know, it doesn't matter what level you're coming in at, it's overcrowded.
Yep.
There'd be people that crawl over broken glass who punch you out of the way to get the opportunity.
100%.
You've got to try and do it. And then, I love that bit at the end about belief and consistency. You've got to believe the next conversation could be the big one. You've got to believe the next application. 100%. You said something about when you sent it to your old man, like, fancy this one. He come back, he went, it's got your name all over it, son.
Yeah.
You need a support network around that tells you that, but you've got to believe in yourself, mate. And I honestly think your story is inspirational. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You enjoyed the podcast?
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah,
first one down.
Well, there you go, mate. Mate, listen, you know, you broke your virginity now, it's all systems go.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to get you on for so many different reasons, and there's an authenticness about you which transcends everything you do. There's a personality and energy which is missing from a lot of industry and a lot of businesses which I see. And you're working with a brand or for a brand that have got a very unique founder.
Yep.
There's a real design-led, but the philosophy around it I really like. So thank you so much for coming down with Essex. We'll send you away with some lunch in your belly. We've got a little place I know just along the coast. Charlie, what a great guest, eh?
Happy days, boys. Happy days.
What a great guest. Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, before we wrap up the episode, I've just got to give a special mention to someone. On the journey here today, I spoke to one of our clients. He knows who he is. I can't name him. But he told me that his son is now facing brain surgery. And it was, he's only 15, 16 years of age. And it was one of the most it's one of those moments when you think you're a bit stressed and I think I'm busy. And do you know what I mean? And then, like, you know, I just said, how are you, mate? You know, and he said, well, to be honest, not that good. And it just kind of reminded me how what's important in life. And I think that if we can make our show enjoyable, fun, and something to listen to, that's a great morning's work. But if I can be there to say, you know, thoughts and prayers are with you, they are. It's still very raw, it's still very new, but I just wanted to say that publicly. Jason, I have no doubt when you're next in this studio, you will be an award-winning sales manager. What are you up for?
Best rep.
Yeah, well, you'll be an award-winning sales rep, mate. Because I can't see anyone who would come near you just on general personality, general energy.
Thank you.
I know that's a little bit sad to end the show, but that was the Foyne Jones Show, episode 4 of season 6. Thank you so much to our sponsor, Marcel. We will see you next week with another episode. Charlie, always a pleasure. Never a chore, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as I said, that's the end of the show. Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out next week's episode as we will keep inspiring our stars of the future.